Hello, this is Hughes. I'm actually re-uploading this video. You might have already watched it, but the viewers pointed out that I said the name Kanika a couple times instead of Jholie, and I apologize for that. That is disrespectful to both of them. I've used Kanika's name so many times in videos lately that it sort of just comes out, and I apologize. I actually even watched the video twice and didn't catch that because her name just, I've heard it so many times in so many videos, so I apologize for that. Okay, so here is the video corrected. Hello, this is Hughes doing another video on Jholie Moussa. Just gonna go over, maybe theorize a little bit and get the details out a little bit better about different aspects that I haven't seen yet in other videos. Okay, some I have, some I haven't, but these are things I've been thinking about myself. Okay, so we all know that Jholie was at the house working on the hair of her sister, her twin sister, and the twin sister says that Jholie was talking to somebody and she was excited. She didn't say if that was a positive excitement or negative excitement. She just said she seemed excited, and that she kind of left in a hurry. Okay, now she left the house at 4:45 and went out the front door right here. Okay, so here we go. Looks like her phone is in her ear. Her right arm is holding the phone up to her head there. That's what it looks like to me. Okay, now you can see her left arm swinging. Her phone's up to her ear. This is apparently 4:45. Okay, so she leaves the house and then she's going to probably walk down this direction right here. Now before we get into that, let's show the weather that day on January 12th was a high of 64 and a low of 57, which is very warm for that time of year. Okay, now an hourly breakdown here. We see that the sun comes out and then it's cloudy, then it rains, and then it's sunny and cloudy and sunny, and then right around the time she left the house it was raining. Okay, and that matches what we see in this image where the ground right here is shiny. She probably walked that direction. If she walked this direction, this is all fenced in right here, and we can see that on Google Earth. Okay, this area right here is fenced in, so she probably would have walked this direction, and she seems to be sort of angled that way anyways. All right, now one of the neighbors says they saw her standing on a corner. Now I don't know if it's this corner or perhaps this one. Now if she was standing on one of these corners, I think she would have probably been waiting for somebody because the traffic there isn't going to be very much. Okay, so let's do some street view right here and see what that looked like. Okay, so if she was actually standing on one of these corners, it seems like she was waiting for somebody. Now if we look down the street here, you'll see this house right here, or condo. I'm not really sure what these actually are. Let's just go with house. There's one right at the end of the street, and then there's this building, another house here, and then her house is the one just to the left of the screen, or right of that house if you're coming out the door. So let's show that. Alright, here's the one we can see down the street, and there's this house, and then that's hers right there. So keep that in mind. Right when I go into street view here, you can look down there again. So there's this one, and there's going to be another one right there, and that's hers. So she would have walked down this street, probably went this direction right here, and then stood on this corner, probably waiting to cross the street. So this corner right here, maybe waiting to cross this street, and perhaps walk down to the crosswalk down there, and then cross the main street. Right here, this is rush hour. She might have had to wait a long time to just sort of run across the street in that area. So, when I originally looked at this footage, I was looking at to see if there was surveillance cameras in this area, and I'm sure there's some that actually film the street, but keep in mind that surveillance cameras film businesses. in general. This isn't over in Europe where CCTV's out there filming streets and so forth so they can track people. This is just, you know, businesses that have surveillance cameras, and if it happens to film the street, it's pure luck. Okay, so, and let me just explain one thing too. You notice how this is all sunny, and then I go to the next frame and it looks different? That's because Google Earth sort of patches different imagery that they've put together over the years if they don't have something recent of a particular area. Okay, so as a matter of fact, I can even tell you that this image right here that's 11/2007. Go back a little bit, and this is 8/2017. Excuse me, this is, yeah, wow, that really is. So November 2007, like literally 11 years ago, is this shot. This shot right here is August 2017. So about 6 months ago. It's amazing they would have something that old on Google Earth. Okay, this one's July 2017. So this is the path that I think she would have been walking on. Okay, now you can look around at some of these businesses. You know, maybe some of them have surveillance. Maybe this building has surveillance. Okay, now we can keep walking down this main street, but I think it's likely that she would have crossed and then maybe walk down this. There's a little side street right here. So let me go out and then I'll show you. It's more like a parking area, but right here. So it seems like, you know, if you were going to walk without having to worry about traffic as much, you would have walked this direction. So since it's not the main street. Okay, now a lot of these buildings probably have surveillance. Like, I don't know if that's a camera there, perhaps. Okay, so I'm just going to do the route that I think that she walked on. This is the red line of the, you know, the main route that I showed from above. So right now I am right near these apartments. So this is the likely main route that I have her walking on, just like this. And the park's right over here. Okay, so let's go back to where I was, which was right there. A lot of times they put surveillance cameras underneath up here. Alright, so you would take a right here. Let me go out and come back in. Sometimes it's hard to turn in Google Earth. Alright, so I'm going to go slowly. This is July 2017 imagery that we're looking at. And you can tell it's not changing because the same car is in front of the camera. So I'll speed it up a little bit. Yeah, so hopefully there's like a surveillance camera on some of these buildings right here. Perhaps some of these homes. It's hard to say. But I think surveillance cameras will be a big factor in this case, as well as cell tower pinging and social media records. You know, a lot of times you'll have cameras in this area right here that are really filming anybody that might walk by the side of their home, but it would pick up the street also. So it wasn't intentionally filming the street, but you'll get it. All right, so just right there, here's the park. So as you can tell, that's not really that far a walk. Okay, now, like right there was a imagery shift. So this is July 2017, and now this is September 2014 right here. All right. So here's the tennis courts. Now, she probably would have walked in. I'm going with the fact that I guess I can't call it a fact. I'm going with what I believe happened. I think she walked to the park and was killed at the park. Okay, and I think it just seems more likely. I believe that her body, when they found her body, it was decomposed, not completely, but in a pretty advanced stage of decomposition, because it had been there for 2 weeks, literally. And if you look at the AccuWeather, well, it's not AccuWeather, it's timeanddate.com. AccuWeather does the same thing, it just doesn't have the detail. So let's look at the weather here. I think the weather helped preserve her body actually a little bit over time, because if you look on January 12th, the high was 64, low 57, but then it really got cold. So it was 61 as a high the next day, but then it really started cooling off. And then for 13th, basically the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, through the 19th, it was pretty cold. 50 degrees was a high during that period, but every night it got pretty much below freezing other than the 19th right here. Let's see what we got going on the 20th. All right, now on the 20th it started warming up, and now decomposition would pick up pace again as it got warmer. So the 23rd, and then I think they found her on the 26th. Okay, but it really wasn't that warm other than these 1, 2, 3, 4 days right here after she went missing. All right. So she shows up to the park. Here are the tennis courts. And let's do Google Earth again. So there's a tennis court. She shows up to the park. The phone call was made from the basketball court over here. Okay, now after my last video, it turns out that the phone call was made at 5:24, not 5 o'clock. All right, so her walk would have only taken 15 minutes. So she would have been there around 5 o'clock. So that would give somebody plenty of time to kill Jholie prior to that phone call. I don't think that person was trying to lure Jholie there. I think that call was probably meant as some sort of cover, trying to make it seem, I believe they believed inevitably she would have been found at the park, but they wanted the last call that was made to her phone to be from somebody other than the killer. All right, so that would throw law enforcement off. They'd say, well, why is this person calling then? It turns out it was a 12 or 13-year-old, and that person actually is a witness to the person who made that phone call. All right, I believe her body was found in this area right here, and it wasn't found the first time because the police went there, just kind of looked around a little bit, didn't do a thorough search because of the other text message that was on her phone from 8 o'clock that night. Okay, remember she wasn't reported missing until the 13th. Okay, but on the 12th at 8 o'clock at night, which is, let's say, 3 hours and 15 minutes after she left her house, when I say she, her cell phone sent a text to her sister saying, hey, I'm going to be going to a party, 150 miles away, 200 miles away. And I believe that text was not made by Jholie. Okay. Also, at 1 a.m., there was a phone call from Jolie's phone to her mother, and I believe that phone call is also not real. I believe well, it's a real call, but it wasn't made by Jholie. I think that you'll see that phone pinged probably the 150 miles away in a place related to what the text message said. So I think you'll see a match there, because I think whoever killed her wanted people to think she really did go there. Okay, now I think the phone call was just pure luck. I think that from the basketball court. I think it was luck that the guy was, the little kid was shooting hoops, and the killer actually saw it and thought, God, let's see, maybe I'll call using his phone. I don't think it actually helped the killer, though. That's the thing, is I think if that call wasn't made, they might still be looking for her body right now. I'm just trying to think through this right now. I think it would be pure luck that there'd be somebody shooting baskets there. So this is a spur-of-the-moment decision to use that kid's phone. He probably thought it was being helpful. It is helpful to say that the last phone call made to her phone by somebody other than family and friends was by an unknown person at that same park. Okay, so that would lead you away from perhaps somebody else who had called her phone that same day. Okay, law enforcement would then immediately focus in on the unknown phone call. So I guess that sort of helped, but it also drew law enforcement back to the park. Then they found her body there. And then now there's even a witness to the person who used the phone. Okay, now it seems like the likely suspect in this case is the ex-boyfriend of Jholie. Okay, he was arrested a couple days after, a few days after she went missing on a felony assault charge, and the assault was actually on Jholie herself. So that seems highly probable that a person that has that kind of violence could have killed her. I actually don't think at this point that it was sexually motivated. Now, if this turns out to be some psycho Snapchat killer type person, then sure. But it almost seems like she was lured there and then she was strangled, and that's why there was no screaming sound. I mean, this is at around 5 o'clock, right? I mean, it seems like there'd be people around, but also sunset is, I believe I saw that it was around 5:09. So it would be getting pretty dark by the time she was at the park. 5:24, it's getting really dark when that kid was shooting baskets right there. So that would be something to think about as well. But I think she was maybe strangled, moved off to the side, and then covered with leaves. And then the person who killed her saw that there was somebody shooting baskets not too far away, kind of came out of the woods, got onto that path, and let's see. Let's just try to get a look at that. So I think, like right here, I think her body was probably found back in here. I guess it's possible it was over there too. But probably got back on this path, walked right over this lawn right there, because you can see this is the basketball court, right? So let's look at it like that. This is the basketball court, and there's the path, all right? So let's say the person gets done covering her with leaves. It's a little bit dark out. Comes on this path, kind of dusts himself off a little bit, walks up and says, "Hey, can I borrow your phone?" And then sets up a call from a stranger to Jholie's phone to throw law enforcement off. But I don't think that was a very good plan. He didn't think through that, because now you have a witness to you, and it also gets law enforcement back to the area. All right, so that wasn't that smart. So keep in mind that the description that the kid playing basketball gave of the person that used his phone does not match the ex-boyfriend. Okay, now were these two people working together? We aren't going to know the answer to that question until somebody's caught. Okay. Here's what I do know, though. I think if that phone by the kid wasn't used, the police would be way behind where they are right now. Okay, so that was a really dumb move. If that was an attempt to try to throw police off. Okay, because look at how the case would be if that didn't happen. Jholie leaves the house. She then sends a text message at 8 o'clock at night saying, hey, I'm going to a party 200 miles away. And then you get a phone call at 1 a.m. from that same location. That's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming that that phone call at 1 a.m. is going to ping 150 miles away exactly where the text message said she was going to be. I think whoever killed Jholie wants people to believe, wanted people to believe at that time that she was elsewhere. Okay? So think how, good that would have worked for the killer. However, for some reason, this person or someone related to the killer called Jholie's phone from that park. And that brought law enforcement back to the park, finding her body, and then there's more things to now look into. Okay? So that was a very poor move by the killer. It didn't help hide anything. And really it's really strange, actually. Now, some people think maybe that's the call that got her to get to the park, but then what was Jholie doing from 4:45 to 5:24? Okay? I mean, I just showed you the route. She's very close to there. So, I guess we're just not going to get to know until they catch the person. Was she killed between 5 and 5:24, or is it possible that she went somewhere else, then they brought her back and put her there? But why would you do that? See, here's the thing. Why make that phone call from the park using the kid's phone for an intentional cover-up, only to lead people back to where you put the body? See, that part doesn't make any sense to me. All right? Usually what you're doing is trying to redirect the police somewhere away from where the crime scene was. Okay? That call brought them back to that place. The text message and the phone call, the text message at 8 and the phone call at 1 led police in a different direction. Had that call never been made from the park, they might still be looking for Jholie's body now. Just some things to think about, and I'll keep looking at this and kind of trying to figure things out, but right now there's just a couple things that seem strange. I know there's a lot of people out there that always try to make every single case into a conspiracy theory, and can we just stop that already? Very few cases, if any, are ever really conspiracy cases, with some vast cover-up. It just doesn't happen, okay? But everybody wants to see that for some reason in cases because it makes them more interested in the case. But why don't you just look at the facts that are out there and speculate on those facts? Okay, all this wild conspiracy theory stuff, I know it helps you get views on YouTube, but it's just not really that cool, all right? So until next time, I will talk to you later.